Let me get this much straight. You want me, Dewey Dirk, to tell everyone about this fish? You know what happened with Needhog, right?
As it stands right now, you are the only established character with a set voice. As far as I can tell, we don't have much of a choice.
Yeah, but why not just use your own voice? It's so much easier.
Well, you gotta have some sort of personality in these videos.
This is like the third time we're recording this because you can't get the accent straight.
Think about it this way, we're not gonna get any better at the accent unless we actually do it, so come on, let's go.
Alright, this bit's getting old, so let's just get right into it, shall we? Greetings all, and welcome to the workshop. Or at least one of our locations. We try to keep under the radar around here. Expansion is a goal for sure, but for now, the selection of those of you on this tour was kept intentional and limited. The boat ride's been comfortable, right? I know tethering a small wooden boat to a pair of sea shockers ain't optimal, but it's an experience you won't get anywhere else, right? Anyway, let's not drag this on any longer than it needs to be. Before the tour started, y'all were given a device of varying size and quality, so if you could pull that out, we can get this thing started. Sticking with the Norse naming scheme we've established here at the workshop, this is Lingbacker. In the original mythology, this was said to be a marine organism of massive proportion, masquerading as a verdant island. More commonly, it is referred to as a whale, though sea monster is another common moniker. Sailors that approach and dock unaware of the organism beneath the waves would be subsequently drowned and devoured. The base of this beast is the infamous Leedzictus. Actual fossil material of this species is scarce because cartilage is the bane of paleontology, but there's enough to know that they were an absolutely massive species of filter-feeding ray-finned fish. Their skull morphology will be the primary takeaway for Lingbacker, but there is one massive point to bring up that some may be understandably missing. A bone in their upper jaw is fixed in place, the premaxilla. This bone in smaller fish assists in jutting the mouth forward for suction feeding. However, because of this rigidity, Leedzictus couldn't do this. As a filter feeder, they relied on keeping their mouths agape for long periods of time to allow a constant flow of water without straining the jaw. This does result in a structurally more robust system, though. As opposed to using its massive gape to vacuum in prey, fighting and ramming become much more realistic hunting methods for Lingbacker. This is assisted by a series of bony plates that protect the animal's eyes, head, and gills. Leedzictus is thought to have lived alongside various pliosaurs, crocs, and sharks, so these plates needed to protect it from the jaws of these creatures if it wanted to get up to the sizes it did. Some adaptations for filter feeding anyway will remain intact to ensure that Lingbacker has a way to temporarily sustain itself, but they'll be reduced enough to encourage the animal to seek out more hardy prey. The people asked for a meta breaker, so what better pick would there be than the bluefin tuna? The risk is too much, you may think. Take it at face value, and of course this thing's gonna ruin a design. Yes, it's true that a high-stress, long fight with no chance to rest will cause a bluefin to overheat to the point of cooking their own flesh. Tuna are at least partially endothermic. Their blood works as a counter-current exchange system. Call it an oversimplification, but the blood from their core is channeled to extremities like the fins and tail to cool before returning back into the animal. Though if you look at these fish, there isn't really much in terms of extremity. They're built for speed and endurance, so their form is rather compact. Lingbacker has much more of this type of hardware to work with as regulators, but we'll get there. It's only on the line of an angler that this cooking phenomenon has been observed anyway. Although these fish have been known to fight for hours at a time without signs of slowing down. Adrenaline is a powerful weapon, but the fight with another organism rarely lasts longer than a few minutes. The Atlantic bluefin specifically is reportedly better at thermoregulating than others, so there's a little safety net there. They can swim so fast for so long because, instead of scales, a mucus layer exists over scaleless skin. By slotting their fins into grooves on their sides in tandem with this mucus and a teardrop-esque body plan, tuna can achieve speeds between 30 to 40 miles per hour depending on the estimate. This is assisted further by a series of finlets on the upper and lower portions of the tail. They cut back on the amount of turbulence the fish creates as it swims, making this large creature deceptively swift and stealthy. These are attached through a series of muscles that allow the animal to consciously control the position of the finlets. Their second dorsal and anal fins are also wonders of nature's engineering. An article by Live Science revealed that lymphatic fluid is pushed into channels inside of the fin itself to raise and lower them in a way that made the resulting turn much tighter. They compare it to using a pool noodle versus a wooden board when trying to steer a canoe, but I think of it as using a pole to swing yourself around a corner. A crescent moon-shaped tail fin works in a similar way. It's tough and described as bone-like because of it. Swung laterally by powerful tendons, the tail's rigidity allows the animal to accelerate much quicker than fish with another type of tail. For lingbacker, this can serve as a lethal weapon in its own right. Proportionately larger than tunas due to the lead's inclusion, it would only take a couple strokes of this tail to get the animal moving. A tuna's coloration is another reason for their inclusion. They are counter-shaded with a lighter bottom and darker top, but at the surface of the ocean there's really no way of distinguishing that. Instead, the colors bend with shadow and sunlight to render the animal a vague silhouette. The position of the pectoral fins may have some of you pausing. Tuna hold their fins primarily with the bottom facing outward, but lingbacker is holding hers more or less like a shark. This is not due to that type of animal being included, instead this is the result of another ray-finned fish called the cobia.
Kobe!
These fish are medium-sized and related to the more well-known remora. Outside of being very curious fish, something that will prevent Ling from being easily spooked, the orientation and flexibility of their fins will be this fish's biggest impact. The fins of ray-finned fish deserve a little segment of their own here. Instead of being composed of a single sheet of cartilage in the same manner as shark fins, these are composed of webbing supported by bony spines. This allows for a level of flexibility to change the shape of the fin as well as bolster the fish's acceleration and turning rates. Expanding the surface area of these fins to proportionately the size of the cobias also helps bolster thermoregulation. As blood is channeled into these fins, the wide area will cool the animal at a much greater rate. Cobia also possess a series of short spines that act in a similar way to the finlets, without the flexibility those structures have, of course. We felt safe replacing the dorsal fin of the tuna with the spines of the cobia, partially due to a defensive inclusion that would lengthen them later on, and the fact that cobia are quite fast fish in their own right, as well as there being multiple methods for the hybrid turning already.